Hi guys, time for the last two chapters, Shed a Tear, and playing Atari with Saddam Hussein. I can't believe we're already here. I'm still on a high from finding out Baba's okay, but I'm looking forward to learning these last two chapters. Hopefully you will love it as much as I do. All right, 31. We are back in Shirzad's room, formerly the safe room, but this time we are not hiding. We are moving out. Everyone can sleep in their own room tonight. You're doing it wrong, Ahmed. Shireen is getting back to her bossy self rather quickly. Then you do it yourself, Ahmed says, and he drops the corner of the rug he was rolling up. Ahmed runs and jumps on Shirzad's back. Attack! Shirzad spins Ahmed around a couple times and dumps him onto the bed. Counterattack, my older brother says, and pins Ahmed down for a few seconds before letting him up. Boys, Mama says, enough. But she has a small smile on her lips. I finish rolling up my rug and tuck it under my arm. I'm ready to take it out of here for good. President Hussein is triumphant, a voice booms out from the radio. I stop. Our fearless leader has stood up to George Bush in America and stands today strong and determined, the father of his people. Enough, says Baba and turns the radio off. We lost, didn't we? Shireen says. We lost the war. Yes, Shireen, says Baba. Iraq lost the war, but we are still here. And so is Saddam. Even the Americans couldn't get rid of Saddam. What was it all for, I wonder? 42 days of battling, of bombing, of fear and hunger. And for so many families, grief and mourning. And the one man who set all this in motion is still going to be our leader with all his palaces and luxuries and power. What was this all for? I shake my head and carry my rug to the playroom, where it will be stored in the closet for a long time, I hope. As I walk across the playroom, I trip over something. It's the cord that connects the joystick to the Atari console. I don't fall, I just stumble a little. Was it really just 42 days ago that Shirzad and I sat in here playing video games? I kick the controller closer to the entertainment center that holds the TV. There will be no TV or video games until the electricity comes back, and who knows how long that will take. I clenched my hands into fists. My fingers are itching to grasp a controller and press the buttons and play a game. I just want to play Atari. Instead, I stand in the middle of the room, staring at a blank TV. What do I do now? It's a strange feeling, having nothing to do. I've been in survival mode. How do I get back to living? Ali! Ahmed bursts in, carrying a football. Yes, Ahmed, I say half-heartedly. Come on, Ahmed says. Let's go outside and play. Shirzad says he'll meet us down there. But I am a statue. Frozen solid, I can't seem to switch from War Ali to War is over Ali like that. I just can't. Then Ahmed throws the ball and I automatically lift my knee and bounce the ball into the air. It feels good. I bounce the ball onto the other knee. Race you, Ahmed yells and takes off running. I catch the ball in my hands and chase my little brother out the front door and into the blazing sun. I automatically look up to see if there are warplanes before I realize I don't have to anymore. As I kick the ball back and forth with Ahmed, I look around. In our neighborhood, nobody would know that we have just been in war. Not one house has been hit. Yet on the radio, we heard about catastrophic damage all over Iraq. I can't help but think, why us? Why are we so lucky? Shirzad comes out of the house. Wordlessly, he joins us. I kick the ball around with both my brothers. I start to feel loose. It's easy to lose myself in the rhythm. Kick, pass, kick, pass. Then I see my friend Mustafa coming toward us. Mustafa, I shout, come play. Ahmed kicks the ball, but I let it pass right by me. Mustafa has gotten near enough for me to see his face. I'm ashamed of myself. I hadn't given a thought to my friend. Your father? I ask. Not back yet, Mustafa says. I focus on the word, yet. He'll probably show up any time, I reassure him. Ahmed goes to retrieve the runaway ball. Yes, Mustafa nods and tries to smile. Not knowing, it's hard. Just then, Shireen comes running out into the street. Boys, she hollers, Baba says to come in before he has to go to work. Your father is back? Mustafa says. He showed up earlier today, I say. That's great, dude. Mustafa looks genuinely happy for me. I'm reminded of an Iraqi proverb. You will discover your true friends in moments of crisis. Want to come in? I ask. No thanks, Mustafa says. My grandmother wants me right back. I don't want to give her anything more to worry about. I hold out my hand and we shake. Mustafa heads off down the street, and I follow my siblings into the house. My parents are right there in the front hallway. Baba is wearing his medic uniform. I'm going to the hospital, he says. I don't want you to go, Baba. Shireen wraps her arms around his legs. I know, my little girl, my father says, but there are many injured people who need my help. But what if Saddam Hussein starts another war? Shireen cries. We are all quiet for a moment. Come on, Shireen, I say. I take her hands and peel her off my father. There's no war now, and if another one comes, we'll get through it, together. Ali is right, Mama says. Now come, Shireen, let's see what we can make for supper. Baba brought home some kindling to light the oven. I think we have a bit of grains left for lavash. They head to the kitchen. I'll go collect some dates from the tree, says Ahmed, rushing out the door. We'll take care of things here, Baba, says Shirzad. My father picks up his medical bag and says quietly to just the two of us, You boys stay close to home. There are many people in Basra who are angry and upset. There may be trouble in the streets. Yes, sir, Shirzad and I say together. We watch our father leave. I'm going to my room, my brother says, now that it's mine again. This morning I slept on one of Ahmed's army men and I found a baby doll wedged between the wall and my bed. I laugh and follow Shirzad up the stairs, taking them two at a time. When I enter my bedroom, I sigh. 3 of my comics gone, casualties of the war. But everything else looks the same. I grab a comic and take it to my bed. I lie down and flip it open. I don't know what will happen to us in the days ahead. In the comics, the good guys always win. In real life, it's not always so obvious who the good guys are. The world may see only Saddam Hussein, but we Iraqis are so much more than that. Whatever happens next, as my father says, we'll get through it together. Chapter 32. This is 14 years later. Jump ahead 14 years. I can't escape his eyes. Saddam Hussein is looking at me. Saddam Hussein, the former president of Iraq, the butcher of Baghdad, the man responsible for the deaths of millions of his own people, my own people. I am falling back in time, back to when I was a boy whose world seemed nearly always to be at war, where people were terrorized and tortured and starved and gassed. I take a deep breath and remind myself that I am no longer that boy. I am now a grown man here in Iraq with an important job working for the American State Department. I am part of a team in the Iraqi High Tribunal that is prosecuting Saddam Hussein for crimes against humanity. Saddam is sitting in the defendant's cage, an area surrounded by wooden railings, in security, plenty of security. But even with the cage and armed guards and justice on my side, I am rattled. When an evil dictator focuses his laser beam eyes on you, it feels like Satan is staring into your soul. I begin to translate Saddam's Arabic speech into English. I am not going to answer to this so-called court. My words go into a microphone and up to the second floor, where behind the mirrored windows sit the Americans. Only Iraqis are allowed in the main courtroom. The Americans who are helping to prosecute Saddam Hussein through democratic procedures stay behind the scenes, watching and listening and advising. The judge has just told Saddam to stop yelling. You are nobody, Saddam shouts, getting to his feet. I am the leader of the Iraqi people. I translate Saddam's outburst while thinking, this man has no remorse. He's crazy. Finally, Saddam sits down and the trial continues. I listen to the witness on the stand speak. He is telling a heart-wrenching story about his family being killed during the chemical attacks. That was the first phase of a genocide campaign called Al-Anfal. It's difficult, but I keep my composure. I have a job to do. I translate the witness's words from Kurdish to English so that the Americans can understand. I am a professional translator. I was hired by the United States government to help bring Saddam to some kind of justice. Finally. I am 28 years old. It has been quite a few years since Saddam retreated from Kuwait. I spent my teenage years living with the economic sanctions that were imposed on my country. We remained hungry, powerless, and silenced. All along, however, I kept learning and practicing my English. The language seemed to come instinctively to me, even though I had been unable to leave Iraq to visit America. And then, in 2003, there was another war, the Second Gulf War. This time, the government of Saddam Hussein was overthrown. But still, Saddam was not killed. He went into hiding for many months. Finally, he was yanked out of his hiding place, a hole in the ground, which was known as Saddam's Spider Hole, in his hometown of Tikrit in a raid by U.S. troops. The Saddam they captured looked like a disheveled old man with an overgrown gray beard and bloody scrapes. The Saddam who was in this courtroom is neatly groomed and dressed in a white-collared shirt and dark suit, and as dictator-like as ever. He smiles, he smirks, he reprimands and shouts when he gets angry or feels insulted. He gives orders. Except this time, no one is following his orders. He is the prisoner. The Kurdish witness finishes his testimony. The defense team asks him some questions. I translate it all. And then it is time for court to be adjourned for the day. I watch the Iraqi security guards escort Saddam to the doorway, where they hand him off to the U.S. Marshals Service, a federal law enforcement agency within the U.S. Department of Justice. Saddam will be taken downstairs to his prison cell. He is currently on a hunger strike to protest the trial. Everyone in Iraq knows about Saddam's hunger strike. Millions of Iraqis are glued to their television sets. The trial is being televised almost live. I look up at the high ceiling. I can see many of the cameras that are taping the trial. They beam their images to the control room, where a U.S. production company that also films the American Super Bowl works to edit out some faces and names before airing the trial. So the world sees everything on a 30-minute delay. Well, not everything. They don't see me or the other translators. They only hear our voices. If they showed my face, I would be dead. Saddam's supporters, mostly Sunni Muslims, would consider me a traitor working with the Americans. When I talk to my family and friends whom I am not allowed to see during the trial, they are excited to hear my voice. I am in the heavily fortified area called the Green Zone. It's mostly secure, except the occasional bomb that gets through from Saddam supporters outside. Inside are Americans and Iraqis working to give Saddam Hussein a fair and democratic trial. Many of us are learning how democracy works. Ali! A man's voice reaches me from the courtroom's entryway. Are you coming? I stand up and respond in English. Yes, Mr. D, I'm coming. I head over to the exit. Time to shake off the day. And shake Mr. D's hand. Mr. D is one of 3 American attorneys who are helping to prosecute Saddam Hussein. Good job today, he tells me. He sips a cup of coffee in his right hand as we walk down the hallway. Thank you, I say. No, really, he says. That was some pretty intense stuff in there. You translate so fast, but you still manage to convey emotion. Where did you learn English? Television, I say. Movies. He laughs. Some schooling, I add, but I always watched and listened to any English I could find. Well, it certainly paid off, said Mr. D. Literally, I joke. Although to be honest, I would do this job even if I didn't get paid. It's something I can be proud of for the rest of my life. You're a good translator and a good man, says Mr. D. But don't tell the State Department that you do this for free. They would take you up on it. So you grew up here in Iraq? Yes, I say, mostly in Basra with my family. How are they doing? As well as can be expected, I say. My parents are healthy. My mother teaches mathematics and my father's a dentist. I am very fortunate, I continue. We have all lived through 3 wars. Most families in Iraq are not so lucky. Mr. D drinks the last of his coffee and drops the cup in a nearby receptacle. We shake hands. The attorney heads toward the gym. I make a stop before going back to my trailer. Into the game room, where I beat the previous high score on the retro Miss Pac-Man arcade game. ALI. I spell out on the high scoreboard, and I smile. And that is the end. Finished. This is the epilogue. So the epilogue is what actually happens. So, like I said, this is based on a true story. Ali Fadhil really was a translator during Saddam's trial. He translated Arabic into English. So this is what actually happened to Saddam Hussein. Saddam Hussein was sentenced to death by hanging after he was convicted of crimes against humanity by the Iraqi High Tribunal. He was executed on Saturday, December 30th, 2006. After the trial, Ali returned to Basra, his hometown. In 2008, with help from Mr. D, one of the prosecuting attorneys in the trial of Saddam Hussein, Ali moved to the United States, and his siblings followed in 2009. Ali moved to Columbus, Ohio. One night he had dinner with Mr. D and his family, including Mr. D's sister-in-law, Jennifer Roy, who later became Ali's co-author in writing this story, Jennifer Roy. On November 12, 2013, Ali Fadhil became a citizen of the United States of America. Is that not so awesome? That is so cool. And he moved to Columbus, Ohio. That is so crazy and so awesome. I will post on Dojo, because you can't really see it now, the quiz for this. If you have been keeping up, that was an awesome story. I hope you loved it as much as I did and learned so much. I think it'd be cool maybe if you did some more research about Ali Fadhil and see what you can find. All right. Can't believe it's over. Bye, guys.